All right, guys, here on this hump day, I've got an editorial with a couple of stories I'm going to combine. First one's really short. It's a video. I'm going to put a video link to the YouTube video in the description box down below. And I've searched and searched and searched all over the internet for a story. All I can find is the video, which I have the link in the description box below. So I don't really know. You have to... I believe, if I recall, the description box of that video has a story of what happened. But we pretty much have to rely on whoever took the video or, to see what's going on. But the video kind of speaks for itself. The Border Patrol come up. They're talking to this guy. You hear him say, "It's my property. This is my property." They're telling him in Spanish to sit down. He's like, "I don't want to sit down." And it sounds like one of them say he's armed, which Laredo, Texas is where it's at. You're allowed to be armed in Laredo, Texas, as far as I know. So they all talk to him. Some other people come out of the church, and the Border Patrol drives off. So it's not very flattering of our U.S. Border Patrol, our customs, or whoever they were. It's not very flattering. Were they harassing a citizen? It appears so, because they didn't do anything. They just jumped and drove off. They didn't do anything. But did they drive by and see a Mexican guy and go, "Hey, let's check him out"? Or were they called out there? Or I don't know. So, but I'll let you watch the video and make your own decisions on, or your own opinions on what you think it is. But again, it raises questions. He says it's my property, and then they leave without doing anything. So they probably were harassing him. Second one I'm going to get to is a woman that was shot to death by cops. And it says the cops are outraged that a second suspect was released from jail. So the cops shoot this woman, and then they're outraged because the guy is released from jail. I'm going to give it to you and see what you think. The link to this story will also be in the description box below. Thank you to TheRoot.com. The Root, thank you for this story. On March 13th in Louisville, Kentucky, back to Louisville. Boy, Louisville likes to fuck up, don't they? 26-year-old Breonna Taylor was shot to death in what appeared to be a botched police raid as officers from Louisville Metro Police Department, no big surprise, attempted to execute a search warrant at the home of a suspected drug dealer. Now, WDRB.com reports that the union representing Louisville Metro Police Department officers is criticizing a Kentucky judge for releasing from jail Kenneth Walker, the suspect who officers claim initiated the shootout that caused Taylor's death and put a cop in the hospital. So I love how they say he initiated the shootout that caused her death. Not that the cops fucked up, but that some guy started a shootout and she ended up getting killed by the cops. It was he's the one that started it. Aren't cops supposed to be responsible with firearms? From WDRB, Walker, 27, was charged with attempted murder of a police officer after he shot Sergeant John Mattingly in the leg as police were serving a search warrant during a narcotics investigation at an apartment at Springfield Drive at 1 a.m. on March 13th, police have said. A female suspect was shot and killed after 3 Louisville Metro Police Department officers returned fire, Chief Steve Conrad has said. On Thursday, Jefferson Circuit Court Judge Olu Stevens lowered Walker's bond from $250,000 cash to home incarceration. Walker's attorney, Rob Eggert, tells a different story regarding the shooting. Defense attorney Rob Eggert said police burst into Taylor's home without announcing their presence and fired at least 22 times with bullets going into neighboring apartments. And it was incredible that Mrs. Taylor was the only one killed. Had Breonna Taylor been killed by anyone except police, the person or persons responsible for her death would have been charged with homicide, Eggert said in a court document, also alleging Walker is a victim of police misconduct. Now remember, Louisville Metro, that's the ones who went out to where the lady that has medical issues and mental health issues called to say her husband shot her, but he didn't. She was just, she has issues mentally. And they went out and drugged the old man out of his house and slammed him on the concrete and said, ha, 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 and then walked off. Remember that one? And said, "Oh, we're not going to come up to you and go, 'Did you shoot your wife?'" No, they came up, they ripped the guy out of his house when he said, "What's going on?" and slammed him on the ground and then left. That's this police department. According to Eggert, there were no drugs found in the home, surprising, and Walker was not the target of the search warrant. So there's a whole bunch to this story, and I'm just going to jump through here. For time's sake, I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but you can go read it. But there is something here where Sam Aguirre, an attorney representing Taylor's family, said officers were looking for someone else entirely, and that suspect had already been arrested in a separate raid before the shooting occurred. Aguirre said something went terribly wrong. This was clearly a botched execution of a warrant. Officers maintain they did nothing wrong. Of course they did. They claim they repeatedly knocked at the door and announced themselves as officers. Something we will all have to take their word for, since they weren't wearing body cameras because they were members of the department's criminal interdiction division, and for reasons unexplained, officers in that division don't wear body cameras. That's why you record the police. Had a neighbor been recording, had a neighbor been like, what the fuck's going on next door? Whoa. And started recording, we would see what happened. See, when cops come up to me and go, I have a body camera too. Yeah, but mine's always on and always running. And mine's always filming cops that don't have body cameras. That's why you guys need to record. They don't have body cameras, so we're going to take their word for it. Guess so, right? Just pisses me off. A neighbor of the house where the shooting occurred said in an affidavit that she heard gunshots and Walker calling for help, but that she never heard anyone announce themselves as police. Why wasn't she recording? Of course, all of those red flags flying in every direction of this case does nothing to dissuade officers from lamenting and publicly condemning Walker's release. Chief Conrad wouldn't speak on the incident that resulted in Miss Taylor's death because there's still an ongoing investigation. Bullshit. But he had plenty to say to WDRB about Walker being let out of lockup. Yeah, he doesn't have anything to say about his cops shooting an innocent person, but he does have something to say about, well, they let him out, man. What about your cops that shot the woman? He understands, in an email, he said that he understands the guy was let go because of COVID-19 and we're letting people out of jail. They don't get sick and so forth, so forth. But there's a lot more. If you read down here, I want to get to something here, though, that I read earlier. So it says here, in officer-involved shootings, cops are nearly always given the benefit of the doubt. Cops are given the benefit of the doubt no matter what the fuck they do. It's always justified. Well, I won't say always, because there have been officers that have been convicted. But in most cases, and practically all, it's justified. But it says, in this case, we have two suspects, quotes, who with no known history of dealing drugs, and then they say no drugs were found. Defense attorney saying no drugs were found. A neighbor saying they heard Walker calling for help, but no officers identifying themselves. And no body cam footage to prove otherwise. Here it is. And in the end, we have Breonna Taylor, who didn't live to tell her side of the story. And we have Walker, who was let go. He's the one carrying the secret. Because he was in the house also, right? But I love how they said in here, the cop said, well, he started the shooting that caused her to get shot. Not that we fucked up and shot somebody and we shouldn't have. I don't know. I've combed this story up and down, back and forth, and I'm just unable to really get exactly what happened. Of course, there was no body cameras. The only people in the house is the dead woman, the guy that got released from jail, and the cops. Taylor was a certified EMT. Why would she risk sullying her family's good name by being involved in dealing drugs? She probably wasn't. She was an accomplished certified EMT of the city of Louisville and currently worked for University of Louisville as a med tech. The family said Walker is a registered gun owner, and he shot in self-defense, unaware he was shooting at the police, which makes sense if they burst through the door. And they do that. Sometimes they'll go up and they'll bust in the door with that ram. Then they go, police, 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 police. But they're already in your house. You don't know who the hell they are. Anybody can yell, police, police, police. But they busted in the door. They're already in your house. You don't know what the hell is going on. So it makes sense. And there's no body cameras. So basically you have to believe the cops. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think about this? S1 looks like Louisville Metro. Now, we saw on body camera where they slammed an old man on the ground who did nothing wrong. This fucking police department needs to be disbanded and the chief needs to be fired. That's in my opinion. Community Leo Watch, watching Leos. That's law enforcement officers. Louisville, you suck. And if the people in Louisville aren't pissed off right now, you guys just don't care. Let me know what you guys think. Happy Hump Day. Got more editorials coming for you this week. Hopefully, maybe today, we'll see. But definitely more coming this week.